Hello and welcome to the Cast. Last episode we talked about Modal Dual Face. We're going to be talking a little bit more about gods, ranking the different god cycles that existed and the way those mechanics were done. Also check out, there's a whole altar sleeve thing we did. They've made finally the comic book art of the Commander dual sleeve cards exists and is out there.
That was an Cast debut of these artworks.
And definitely recommend checking them out. If you go to alteredsleeves.com/Kess Mutate, you can get 20% off the full set of them, and the artwork is all really amazing. These are the ones from the pre-con set that did not get the comic book art promo treatment, and now you can get them at alteredsleeves.com, so check that out. Continuing what we were talking about, basically, there have been 5 god mechanics to exist in Magic. You have the Kaldheim flip gods, you have the Amonkhet gods, the regular ones, you then have the Nicol Bolas bug gods, and then you have the God Eternal gods, and then you have the original Theros, devotion gods. And so all have seen competitive play. I think all have even seen modern competitive play, other than maybe the bug gods.
Scarab God has.
Kind of. Probably the loosest cycle.
It's not like a top tier card, but
Yeah.
Have I ever seen Scarab God in a 5-0 modern list and been like, nice, spicy?
Yes, I have done that. That is true. That is fair. And so I'm trying to think in modern. So original Theros gods, definitely we saw, not Thrasios, the blue-red one saw a ton of Splinter Twin play and was
Keranos.
Keranos saw a ton of play, and plus I don't think any of the other ones saw play in modern very much.
Merfolk played Thassa for a minute.
For a second.
But it wasn't a great fit.
Yeah, they took Devotion has seen play, but the gods had not. But obviously, Commander all over the place. They're Xenagos will forever be one of the better red-green commanders, and there's just a bunch of other good ones that see play all the time. So the original gods, the first time they printed the creature type god on a card was the Theros gods, and their rule was Devotion, and basically, if your devotion was 5 for the monocolored ones, they became creatures and you could attack with them. And then they're indestructible, enchantment creatures. And then the 2-color ones was 7. And there was 15 of them, and they all did cool stuff. Most of the time you played them as enchantments that stayed on play, though, for instance, with Thassa, which you mentioned, its goal, especially in standard, was turn devotion on because it was a unblockable 5/5 attacker that scryed every turn versus other ones. Perforos has seen a ton of play in Commander. They're, classic gods. The next rated gods, we got Amonkhet. And Amonkhet they were indestructible. They could not attack or block unless you did a thing on the turn or in general to allow them to do it. And then they had an activated ability. Ronos was +2/+0 to a creature. And then if there was a creature with 4 or greater toughness, it could attack or block, right? And then probably the most powerful of this cycle, that was actually probably the most powerful in modern. And then the most powerful of the cycle in standard was the red one. Hazoret,
the Fervent,
who dominated standard literally for I think a year and a half, and to the extent that the fire design philosophy from Wizards is partially based around the fact that mono red was too strong for too long because of the weakness and power level of stuff from Ixalan, that they needed cool stuff other than just being mono red to be good standard.
Yeah, I mean Hazoret also had to compete with energy.
Yes, and then that was a whole other issue. And then the next cycle, which actually came from the next set, is the bug gods. And technically they're all from the same plane, but the mechanics are so different that I feel it's worth separating. Where they were, if they were to die, you would return it to your hand.
When it's put into a graveyard from play, return it to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So you have a window to exile them. If you exile them straight up, they don't come back. But yeah, if you, I was going to say Doomblade. That's not a thing. If you Heartless Act their Scarab God, you can Scavenging Ooze it before it comes back because it's a delayed trigger.
Right. And Scarab God was by far the most played and dominated standard for a lot of its existence.
Locust God is a popular commander.
Yeah, Locust God is probably the one that has seen the most commander play as a commander, just as a blue-red one. It's very powerful. And then sadly, the black-red one was kind of the missiest of the two, even though it was probably the coolest, which is the Scorpion God. I think Scorpion God was just costed in a way that he's overcosted for his synergies and his abilities, but is just really sweet. So that was those gods. And then they murdered the other gods from Amonkhet other than Hazoret. And those 4 showed up one more time in War of the Spark. Speaking of War of the Spark, along with God Pharaoh, I guess Nicol Bolas, and
Nicol Bolas, Dragon God,
and then the Raise Boar, who replaced Hazaret, because Hazaret was too busy / not dead, and so couldn't go through the portal. So you had the black, white, green, and blue gods, all as
They were
eternal
all
kings.
zombie gods.
And then you had
creature types, legendary creature zombie god.
And then you had Ilharg the Raise Boar, who was a boar god creature type. And then those were, if they were to die, you put them fourth card from the top in the deck. Third from the top is the third card from the top. So kind of,
and that's notably if they die or become exiled. So you get a window where you can get rid of them, but they will be back. Or you get a window where they're not on the battlefield, but they will be back. Like, it's very hard to get rid of them.
You can counter them and you can mill them.
And you can, like, arrest them, pacifism them.
Yeah. Most of them have either attack triggers or ETB triggers, though. So it like, actually, they all have kind of slightly different things, because you have the white one makes a 4/4 token if you cast a creature. Raise Boar, when it attacks, you get something. The black one, you sacrifice stuff as it enters play. So getting rid of it is actually worse than just like leaving it in play in some ways, as long as you can block it. The blue one has a lot of words on it, and I've actually never seen it in play.
Has a triggered ability on your draw step, and the green one has an ETB as well.
Ronos is, he just makes everyone big.
Their god ability, so to speak, that like makes them godly and more than just a creature, is that they
always come back.
They come back
like zombies. Then we go back to Theros, and we did get more gods there. We got the original 5, plus we got the black white god, who we got as a buy a box promo and costs like infinite mana and makes things get gold tokens on them, because there's like a gold dead people get gold masks, and then we got the red green god, because in the last Thera block they killed the red green god. There was no red green god, they were missing. To replace them, a planeswalker became the red green god, Xenagos, and then Elspeth murdered him. Spoilers, in the face with a spear that then Heliod stabbed her with, and she was dead. And that's the plot of Theros Beyond Death, is her coming back. And the final god series is the double face gods, and these are the most different because they have the least amount of they like don't have the classic I can't die text. What they do have is a modal double face feature, where the backside is a hard to get rid of it permanent often, other than one, which is a bird who does blink itself back to your hand, I guess. And what's cool is if the difference almost in how like they're easy to not get rid of is you can have both of them. You can play them both together. So if you draw 2 of them, there's not a dead legendary creature in your hand.
Yeah, it is interesting because kind of the gods that correspond to an actual mythology. So like not really the zombie gods or the bug gods, but like the Egyptian, Norse, and Greek inspired gods, they do, like, in their differences, they do a little bit like reflect the mythology, in that like the Greek gods are like big, aloof in the sky, they do their thing, but like they don't often grace the mortal world, so they're not creatures. How are you gonna kill one of those fools up on Mount Olympus? And sometimes they'll come down and do their thing, right? They'll impregnate a goat or whatever. And then I
mean, spoilers, but you stab one with the godsend.
Well, you have to go to Mount Olympus to do that. It's not an easy game.
Entire block's worth of content.
Pretty much. And then the Egyptian gods, they're there, but like you got to convince them to fight for you. Mm-hmm. They're just chilling, right? You gotta prove yourself worthy, because that was the Amonkhet thing, right? Is like all about worthiness. So you prove yourself worthy to them by completing some feat of not having cards in hand or having a lot of cards in hand.
Well, and the bug gods are also they're also like around from that period, right? They're just different. They're also based on mythology of real things. They're Egyptian as well. Remember, because they're from our devastation. Well, they were just like from the underworld. They were the ones that he hid and corrupted with Nicol Bolas energy.
Yeah. No, I know that. They used to be. Do I remember what they used to be?
Their names?
I don't
or
remember
what creatures?
They used to be. Yeah, we knew about it. We knew about all 10 gods. There was a story where.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's a flashback story where Nicol Bolas goes back, and it's like what he does to Amonkhet, because he's an old walker at the time, and I guess he like knows that the mending is coming, so he's like, I gotta have a backup plan. And so his backup plan is to just come in and just like subjugate all the gods. But so these Norse gods, like their thing is they have like legendary artifacts / enchantments / sidekick, I guess. One of them has a sidekick. his little bird friend. But yeah, they're like the line between like a Norse hero of legend and like a Norse god is like pretty thin.
Right. They're much closer to superheroes. Like Thor, the superhero, works partially because those gods were closer to like the stories we tell of heroes that save people and teach morals.
Yeah, they're like known by their deeds, and also they die, right?
Yeah.
Like Norse mythology, the gods all die in Ragnarok. Ragnarok happens and they die.
Right.
So they can die. They live a long time, but they can die and they will die. It has been foretold. So it's still a little bit weird to me that they don't have any form of protection, but I guess I get it because they're gonna die.
Right. And I think like the protection is for most of them hard to get rid of permanent on the other side. They're different enough and special enough that I think it is an argument against what we kind of were talking about before. And the last thing was if modal dual face cards become a thing that shows up regularly and we get more creatures with stuff on the back, it makes these gods way lamer.
I will say that like most of them are pretty impressive. Like there are some like kind of ones, but like I feel like they all seem fairly godly to me, at least as godly as the other gods we've seen.
Yeah, and we can have that on a future because we were running a lot of time. I do want to see what your ranking of these 5 concepts are, not necessarily as power level, just in ones that you like, and then I think that'll be it for today. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but thank you once again to our patrons. Make sure to follow. Just really quickly, hit that like button. Comment below I would like to hear your rankings. Please comment your ranking of the 5 gods, the god cycles, because we'll get into that right now. And once again, thank you to our patrons, and thank you, Marshall, for helping, and thank you, Michael, for joining. You can follow me at Kes Wiley on everything. You can follow Michael.
I'm at Dudard on Twitter, DUDARDD.
Yep, and we have a whole new stream schedule of content coming out. So we're having content come every day. So make sure to hit that bell button so you know when stuff is coming out. But we do Commander streams every Monday night. We have that live stream lives on YouTube. So on Tuesday you can watch that. Monday the new episodes show up. We'll have additional content on Thursday and Friday that week as well. So keep tuning in. We have a bunch of stuff coming out now. So check it out. All right, Michael. Gods have been printed 5 times. What is your least favorite of these?
I need to go first.
I can go first if you would like.
Okay. My least favorite, I think, are the War of the Spark gods. They're at the bottom.
Okay.
They're like awkward. They're hard to get rid of. It's cool that they're zombies, I guess. Like, I'm glad they got printed, but they're my least favorite.
I think my least favorite are actually the original Amonkhet ones. They don't do anything while they're in play in a way that like they don't feel like gods as much to me. I think that's like a weaker version of just devotion is I think actually my issue. The fact that they're just like they're a creature but they don't do anything is like not as cool to me. And I like the like more out of the box options of the other gods versus anything else. All right, number 4.
I think number 4 for me, I'm going to go Kaldheim. They're cool, and I do think, as I discussed earlier, or maybe in a previous episode, I don't know how this works, they do, fit in with the idea of a Norse god to me, but I just don't like that they don't transcend a normal creature. They're not indestructible, they don't protect themselves in any way, they don't convey immortality or godliness. Like, there's nothing to me separating them from a mortal. In terms of flavor. Obviously, they have backsides, and that's how you can tell that they're gods, but like, there's nothing to stop Dakon Blackblade from having the Blackblade on the back or whatever, right? And he's a legendary creature, so.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I put Kaldheim God. From a flavor perspective, I put them here. I think they're really cool. I get that they're like the gods of this set. My like big complaint, and maybe at some point we'll release a video about this, is like I wish they were all 3 color. And when I say that, like 3 color, like 1 color, like kind of like whatever, the Jon Snow.
Jorn, God of
where
Winter?
like one side is 1 color and the thing on the back is 2 colors, or vice versa. I think I wish they were able to play as gods in 3 color decks. I think like the more 3 color deck options, I think the better. Right now, you're really pigeonholed into the limited choices.
You're speaking strictly about Commander.
Yes. I don't think it's relevant anywhere else. I don't think being legendary matters in anything. I don't think it affects negatively.
Would you like to see all 15 gods be 3 color, or would you like to see 5 of them?
There's only
10 of
them?
There's
only 12.
Oh, 12?
Yeah,
I thought there was 15. I never counted.
I want the 5 color one to stay what they are, and I want Tybalt to stay what they are, and then the other 10 to be 3 color. And I even have written out on Twitter somewhere what each of them, maybe Marshall could just put that right here, what each of them would be. I think that they all actually fit. They I figured it out. They all have like color combos that they have the vibe of that you could put them into pretty easily.
To you, they have that to you.
Yeah.
By your eye.
By my eye and metric, they fit all. Okay. There is one, you can fit all 10 into one of the 3 color combos and have it make sense. And there are some weird bleed over, and like there's like 2 that could be Sultai, but because Jordan is that already, you like smush one into something else. But it's based on the mechanics that they already have, you could have them be 3 color pretty easily with minimal changes. So that's what I wish they were, and that's why they're my 4th least favorite.
There's like a debate here between making things better for Commander and making things better for literally every other format. Because in Commander, something being legendary and having a lot of colors is very cool. And in every other format, you would want the same card to not be legendary and to have fewer colors.
Sure.
Because that's what makes something more playable in another format, right? Like a 3-color card is by definition going to be playable in significantly fewer decks than a 2-color card or a 1-color card. So the fact that all these gods except Jorn are single color, I guess Valky, right, and Essica, right?
Yeah,
Valky and Essica, we're putting them aside because we're talking about changing everybody else. That would make them way less playable in standard or historic, modern, pioneer, wherever else.
Except one of the things I like about these cards, what you lose is the like cuteness of the fact that these are legendary cards that drawing multiples of you benefit from. That's all you lose, in my opinion. The fact that like I get to play one half and the other half, and in a mono white deck, I can play both halves of the god and they can sit in the play and they worked well together. Fine. You lose that, and I understand that. But because they're modal dual face cards for every other format that isn't Commander, I can play the Sword of the Realms in any deck I want. I can play.
But would you say that like the option to do either is part of what makes the card good? Like Birgi, for example, right? Like if I have 7 cards in my hand, it's nice to be able to play Birgi in my like Stormy combo deck or whatever, right? Let's say I'm not playing Storm. Let's playing Standard, a format where maybe Birgi is more playable. But I'm looking to like play a bunch of spells in one turn and kind of go off, trigger prowess a bunch maybe. Birgi's great. I have 7 cards in my hand. Play it on turn 3. I go off the next turn. I play like Crash Through for free, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. Cool. Swing with my Stormwing entity or whatever. But if I have like 2 cards in my hand and a bunch of mana because I'm flooded or it's later in the game, I want to be able to play the Horn. And if the Horn was 2 colors, I don't know that Birgi would be playable in my deck.
If you're playing those colors, why not? I mean, like, I guess like you get the benefit.
I'm saying I'm playing like a blue-red prowess deck, right? I'm playing a blue-red prowess deck, and I want to play Birgi. I don't know that that's optimal. It's probably not, but I'm just thinking of an example, and also I love Birgi. So I have red Birgi on the front, and it's like black-green horn on the back or whatever. I don't know.
I would have put Birgi and Jess.
Like
I would say red and then blue-white on the back.
Blue-white trash.
It's
all
Jess
right.
Guy. It's one of the 3 color combos. It's the one that makes sense.
But now I have to put white into my like theoretically aggressive deck where my mana costs matter a lot because I'm playing a bunch of spells, right? I'm playing like a red and then a blue. Like I have a lot of mana symbols to fulfill. And adding white to my deck is going to like make my deck a lot worse.
So that hurts Birgi from being
for everybody but Commander players.
Well, it does, but like in Modern, it doesn't matter, right? Like splashing white, if you're getting that powerful of an effect when you're playing the deck more for the front half, or you were playing it more for the back half, is my point. Is like, yes.
I don't think that's true though, because in certain decks, like you cannot afford to splash. You cannot really afford to splash in like Storm because you're like, you have those colored pips. You need to be like, have your lands tapped for blue red. You're like playing Shivan Reefs and random crap to like make sure that you can hit blue and red off all your lands. And a Hallowed Fountain is just not going to cut it for you in that deck.
Sure.
Like, I don't think that playing extra colors is 100% free in every deck. And even if it is free, you're taking more damage off your lands. You're having more things enter tap depending on the format. And it's just awkward.
It's definitely awkward. Now,
I don't think adding colors to things you can argue is strictly better.
No, I'm not saying it's strictly better. I'm saying that the way that these cards work mitigates that negative, but allows them to be more powerful in the second, if not most played way people now play Magic.
Sure. I mean, look, Magic can just become Commander if that's
but then why are they legendary,
money,
right?
But I don't agree with that.
Like, why are they legendary? Like, legendary hurts these formats just as much, but they're legendary for Commander. So why can't they be 3 colors for Commander?
They printed legendary creatures before Commander existed.
Sure, but that was always like a problem, right?
It's like for either flavor or balance. And here it's mostly flavor, right? It's like these are cool legendary creatures that tell the story of Kaldheim in a way that's compelling, and that's cool. And they have mitigated the legendary downside somewhat with the backsides.
Sure.
And I like, if these were 3-color cards, you would balance them differently. Like, cards that have more colors typically are balanced differently from a monocolored card, in part because they're harder to cast, or they only go into certain decks, or they're more niche.
There are enough
inherently.
knobs to change that here, but these cards are still playable. Like Burgi could be played in mono red decks forever, other than in Commander.
But you wouldn't want to do that.
Why not? That's a good enough of effect. 3 mana for every card you cost makes a red mana.
The way some of these cards are designed are kind of like the Zendikar MDFCs, where they're different at different points in the game, or they're different depending on what your opponent's doing. Maybe Egon, God of Death, you want to play the throne face up on turn 1 to start fueling your graveyard, so now you can play Egon. But maybe you've already fueled your graveyard because you played a couple citrus suppliers or whatever, and now you want to play your Egon, your big 6/6 payoff card. And having one of those cards be like blue-green or something, like, it totally ruins the deck.
What if it was black and then hybrid on the backside?
I'd be fine with hybrid.
So if it was black red hybrid white for, I guess, that card. What was that one? I have it written down. Turgid, black, red, white. No, that's the.
Did you still add a color to it?
Yeah. So the backside is 2 colors.
Could I play Egon in a mono black deck?
No,
that's
you
all
could
I
not.
want to do.
You could
here.
not play Egon in. But no one, like the number of monocolored decks in Magic is small.
Okay, but that's not what I mean, right? Like, I could play Egon in a blue-black deck.
Or a blue-white deck.
Let's say standard.
Yeah,
I can play Egon in a blue-black deck where I'm playing, like, Emery and Vantress Gargoyle, and I'm, like, doing Merfolk Secret Keepering myself, and, I'm doing, like, a little self-mill situation with Egon. And I can play it in my blue-black deck. But I can also play Egon in my black-white deck that's like Aristocrats, and I'm like sacrificing stuff and playing Village Rites and kind of doing some self-mill to get back Silver Smoke Ghouls and stuff.
So the way I colored specifically Egon, which was black and then red-blue was the back end, then with the Lantern would be red-blue hybrid in this situation, one red-blue hybrid.
I agree with these color pie characterizations, but continue, I guess.
Is that, yeah. So you would have to play, like, in a black-white deck, the back end of this card, which wouldn't be that good in an Aristocrat deck anyways, other than fueling Egon.
I'm literally coming up with things off the top of my head, Alex. Cut me some slack.
But
you planned this out on Twitter over the course of hours and then brought it to the episode. I'm coming up with a rebuttal on the fly because Ben was supposed to be here, but his internet's not working.
I 100% avoided this conversation until you dumped into it. We were doing the rankings of the gods.
It's over. You went into it.
My complaint was that with the gods, I wish they were 3-color because I think there's no 3-color gods. B, it's really hard to do 3-color gods because gods inherently have a ton of rules baggage, and so therefore what you can fit on the card is very low. And the problem with 3-color cards is finding design space that fits all 3 colors is hard. It is something that Wizards has stated time and time again. It's like, often, why isn't it just this 2-color card? And the nice thing about the flip gods is the front card could be a black card and the back card could be a blue-red card, and that's very easy to do, allowing these to be gods and have god flavor and allowing people in Commander to play with gods, these legendary creatures, instead of just like 9 of these gods are now just like, most of them are going to fall by the wayside in Commander as important legendary creatures. They're just going to be like standard cards that people will play for a year and then never see again.
They're printing so many legends in every single set. Like, why does every single legend need to be a huge Commander hit? How many multicolor legends fall by the wayside? How many what's the Golgari legend from Ravnica? You ever see that guy? He's 2 colors. He's probably good, right?
Like, my point, right? It's like, these are gods. These should be more relevant to formats.
I don't think every single legendary creature has to be a hit in Commander.
Sure.
I don't think that's possible. I don't think it's something that you should even strive for.
But I think that the fact that 9 gods are now only good in Commander as commanders are only going to see play as monocolor decks, which are like less common than the other options by a wide margin, is not as good.
As more cards get printed for Commander, and even as more cards get printed with Commander in mind in standard legal sets or set boosters or whatever, like, you are converging on this point of like so many staples that like decks are looking very samey, and you mitigate that by playing fewer colors.
Well, sure. I guess my point with the multicolor on gods, though, is that this, like, it is very hard to find places where 3-color cards can be printed, and this is a location where it was doable. in a way that would have been pretty resonant and would have been cool. At a time where those 3-color cards are not unplayable in any other format. Yes, getting your specific examples where you want to play one of these gods that I guess are now hybrid man on the back end are less versatile.
Specific examples. I'm saying that by adding colors to cards for no reason other than to make them better commanders, you are dampening people's ability to use them in literally every other format, from kitchen table to standard, historic, draft, modern, legacy, vintage.
But these cards specifically allow those cards to see play in those formats because you could just play them for the one half. Like you don't have to play these cards for both halves.
I could just add a mana to something, I could just add a mana to Aether Vial and make it cost 2 mana, because then it would be perfect in my commander deck for some reason. But it's worse. People don't want to play it at that point. It's the same with just adding colors. It's just making the card worse.
These cards didn't exist until yesterday. Maybe. These cards didn't exist until this week. So it's not like, yes, I understand that these cards exist as they do and are at the power level that they are, but asking for them to be 3 colors because they totally modified their value to one of the most played formats of Commander. And their value in other formats is worse, but not that much worse. It's not like they are unplayable now. It's not like these cards become unuseful. Yes, it is worse to play Sword of the Realms if you're not going to play Halvar. But I can see someone playing Jorn without being able to do blue black mana. Blue black mana, right? Like playing a green red snow deck that just wants that untap effect is for sure a thing that could happen and is very powerful. Tibalt probably is going to see a ton of play in non-red decks, because the front half of Tibalt is powerful enough that you don't need to use the Planeswalker half. In Standard, not in Modern. In Modern, you just play red. But in Modern, you could splash the colors, no problem. And the best deck to play with Tibalt uses red, or is 5 color.
I don't really anticipate seeing any Standard decks playing Valky that do not have the ability to flip them.
Why would you need to flip him? For a black-white deck, Valky's really good. Like, if you could play any of, exile a creature and you can clone it, it eats Uro, especially in Historic where Uro is around, and this is one of the best cards to fight it. If you're in Historic and you don't have red, who cares about the black-red half? I need to stop Uro in my black-blue rogues deck.
I understand the concept. I don't see it.
I'll make this bet right now. I guarantee we will see a 5-0 list that plays Val. I'll pay you $20 that Valky 5-0 is a list without any red in it.
I'm not betting you any money.
So really quickly, is your favorite god cycle the Theros gods?
Yes, they are the OGs. They're great. Devotion's perfect.
Yep, I agree. I haven't really liked the new ones. I really like the new Thassa, actually. I keep just adding her to every list. The Blinky ability is really cool. And new Heliod's good. Yeah, I really love the Devotion gods. They're kind of perfect because they also, due to their requirements, they aren't as because the second coolest one is the Bug gods, right? I think, in my opinion, and I think that's all you have left.
I guess you have
Amonkhet
second.
Okay.
I have Amonkhet second.
And which I guess Amonkhet is Devotion light, so that's fair. The Bug gods to me just are super oppressive though, which is why maybe they would be lower. But yeah, the Devotion thing sits right in the middle. I love it. I think it's great.
I get that it is kind of similar to Devotion, but I do think the fact that they are always creatures but will only sometimes fight for you is another flavorful way to depict the way gods have been seen in various mythologies. You can go and visit Horus or whatever and be like, what up, Horus? But he's not going to fight for you unless you have a creature with power 4 or greater.
What's interesting about that is not a feature of the Egyptian gods that I know of, right? They weren't around because obviously they weren't. There were the gods.
There are humans that interact with them,
but so there
by choice in mythology, right?
I thought that just as much as there
are. If you are
an
ancient Greek living in the time of mythology, which is obviously a nebulous time because it wasn't real, and you want to go talk to Zeus, how are you going to do that?
Doesn't Zeus wshow up once in a while?
Whenever he feels like it, whenever somebody has enough devotion.
I think he has more kids than there are gods. I think all the gods are his kids.
But that's on his terms. If somebody has enough devotion, he comes and gets them pregnant.
But in Egypt mythology, can you go see them? I thought they were honestly more removed in my head. And I am not saying I know.
I don't know. There's no unattainable Mount Olympus where they live, where you can just never go find them and they come to you. I don't think that's how it worked. They lived on the Nile and did Nile-y things with coexisting with humans. I thought maybe not.
And
I don't
on
know.
Amonkhet, for sure, that's the story, right? Like that is a difference in the planet of Amonkhet. Is the gods are just there; they're hanging out with you. I thought in Egyptian
that in
mythology,
the Egyptian time of mythology, which is also obviously not real, but
right.
the way the stories are told, I thought that the gods just coexisted with humans. But perhaps I'm misremembering.
Yeah, I don't even know.
I have not read a lot of Egyptian mythology stories since I was like 9, and I was really into it.
People listening to the podcast, please let us know what you think.
I could ask my brother. He's a classics major who started a hieroglyphics club because he wanted to learn hieroglyphics when he was in college. So
this is information we'll need. Michael will let me know, and I'll tweet it out at some point, unless Michael wants to tweet it out himself. So rankings. So if I remember the rankings correctly, I am Amonkhet, the new gods, War of the Spark gods, Bug gods, and Theros gods, and you are War of the Spark gods, Kaldheim gods, Bug gods, Amonkhet gods, Theros gods. Those are our rankings after the middle giant argument of should the cards be 3-color. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, patrons. You're the reason this can happen. We're due to that and some cool stuff that we're able to do. We're I think getting back to more content every week. So thank you, everyone. And definitely, patrons, if you want to help make that keep happening, please check out patreon.com/themmcast. You get early access. This whole video is going to go up tonight. I'm going to upload it to YouTube, and probably either tonight or tomorrow morning it'll get posted to the MMCast patrons, so you can watch this whole thing early. Plus, you get bonus content. Michael swore at least twice, which is definitely edited out. One of them was in a great heated moment of argument that is forever lost to regular time, but for patrons, it's there forever. And we talked about French fries. Also, big thank you to Alter Sleeves for the free preview of the new comic book art style Commander Precon Alter Sleeves. So if you go to altersleeves.com /Kess Mutate, you can get 20% off, and there's a link below. Check the link. I might have said that wrong, of what that looks like. And thanks to Marshall, as always. And thank you, Michael, for joining. And thank you to Michael's wife for allowing him to run away, though she stole Peanut for most of this episode. So we got less Peanut Cam, who's Michael's dog.
Oh, Peanut is, at this time of night, she probably just wants to snuggle.
That's fair.
And I'm not really available for snuggling, so I don't think it was a kidnap.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next week.
This has been a production of Time Traveler Media, sending podcasts into the future.